Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kahaloyum Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel. Shalom to the sister Akwaf, listen in silence. Shalom. This is your brother Aram Yahawada with the lesson right here. And so you see it. It's self-explanatory. Gas hits $7.59 a gallon in California town, right? So we know that this is part of inflation right there. Gas keeps getting more and more expensive, especially in California. But perhaps now here is it pricier than the remote central costs communities of Gorda, right? The town's only gas station is offering regular unleaded for $7.59. Premium is nearly $8.50, right? So these are the things you have looking forward to, right? Because things trickle down from what New York, California type areas into your inner cities. So the crisis with the gas, crisis with your food, and soon the stock market crash, and then it's going to be an all-out crisis across the board. And then the things that we have been telling you, it's not going to be easily ignored anymore.
Things are so bad in the country right now that reports are confirming the U.S. government and the White House are considering sending in reserve components of the United States Army and the U.S. Air Force to handle an ongoing and worsening supply shortage problem across the nation. 3 different people working with direct knowledge of the discussion stress that the White House officials with the White House are exploring whether or not to activate the National Guard to address this mounting problem. If they don't, this warning is coming to you from people who oppose what is happening, who oppose sending in the National Guard. They say if you don't get this figured out, the entire country will fall apart. The individuals involved in the discussions stress that the Guard would only be on the streets of America in activation to handle these shortage concerns and not therefore policing or governance in any form. However, opposition to the activation of these military branches in any form to handle truly domestic problems are rising with concern now that, from this point forward, we will have a form of the military, a form of camouflage and boots on the streets of the country. It seems like every other month, there is a call to put the Army into the streets, warns one official that opposes the activation. It may seem like nothing right now, writes a news outlet, but before long, the camouflage fatigues and boots on the street become synonymous with policing and reactionary measures, and then the Army will become the new police force of the United States of America. According to reports, White House officials are considering whether members of the National Guard could quickly be brought up to speed where they could drive trucks across the country. They could be used to unload cargo ships. They could be used to move containers and materials from ports and other parts of this broken supply issue. References to the discussion show things are going to get worse, just on the hopes that they make a couple of quick billions on a stock push or on a change there. These are literal and real future trends. And so you have to take some of this information to heart with your own, of course, your own discernment. And you have to say, okay, if everybody else, not the people, not what I'm being told to do on the news, not what my local senator is telling me to do or governor is telling me to do, but if everybody else that I'm watching is saying it's about to get worse, then what can I do? What can my family do to be in a better position? You know, we play on a different playing field than these folks. Our playing field is if we can make sure that we have as much of a buffer between financial hardship and ourselves, then we're in the best position we can be in. We can't buy that island. You know, Nate from Canadian Prepper had that guy on from Atlas Bunkers, and you know they build. If you got $500,000, $2 million to build a bunker, that's the guy you want to go to. For you and me, if we've got a place in the middle of the woods, that's the place we want to go to. And so it's a whole different world between us and them, you know, at the top. And so we have to consider what we're going to do to be in the best position that we possibly can be. There are headlines right now that are blaming you for everything that is happening. You are the reason for the shortages. This is one headline. People are hoarding. One major and national news outlet writes, food shortages are the next supply chain crunch. They simultaneously acknowledge that there is an issue. We are seeing and we are going to continue to see shortages at the store, not just now, but for the next 6 months, the next 2 years. But the blame game is so strong that it is and always has been your fault. The report notes that schools across the country are facing shortages of milk. Local markets are running out of some boxed goods. Hold on a second. Milk is a perishable. If you don't have an industrial grade dehydrator, you're not making that milk last any longer. So I want to ask you, who's buying this milk? Is it your prepper group that's going out and buying, 30 gallons of milk? Or is this all a facade to blame you, but even their facts make no sense? Another headline says something along the lines of America isn't running out of everything because of a supply chain issue. The country is running out of everything because Americans are buying too much stuff. The shortages, according to reports, are affecting items like paper towels, milk, toys, and more. There we go again with the milk. Who do you know is hoarding milk and children's toys? What sense does that make of what we are facing right now? But that veil, that wool is going to get pulled over the eyes of not just a couple of people, but I'm talking half the population. They're going to think that everything is okay. They're going to believe those lies like,
because a gallon of gas costs $12 in Norway, one of the highest price in the world.
Well, in Florida, everything's okay. Well, in Texas, everything's okay. In California, everything's okay. And then you see, I read one article on an individual who applied for 60, and they marked the entire report, applied for 60 entry-level jobs in Florida, and they got called to one interview. This isn't okay. No matter which way you look at it, this financial crisis, this social crisis is about to get a whole lot worse. They're trying to say that there aren't any shortages because of statistics like the Port of Los Angeles was reporting a 30% increase in incoming cargo compared to 1 year ago. Obviously, reports are going to be higher than they were 1 year ago when China shut down the ports and seafaring all but stopped. So if you drop imports by 70% and then it comes up 30% over a year's period, how can anybody in their right mind look at that stat and say, you know what? That's fine. We shouldn't have any shortages. No, that means we are still 40% down. 40% when you're talking about supplying goods to 300 million people across the country is an enormous, it's an unimaginable number. Here's another broken statistic.
Yeah, this is Revelation chapter 18, verse 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and that millstone is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, and also it's going to be the ICBM missiles, what they call ICBM missiles, right? Intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? Nuclear missiles, which are several times more hotter, thousands and thousand times more hotter than the atom bomb, right? And the atom bomb scorched people with hot fire, and they were five cities away, right? They said this is hot like the core of the sun, and cast it into the sea. With the sea is what people, and people are going to get hit with these ICBM missiles, which is ultimately going to turn into the lake of fire. Thus saith, with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, which is America, right? Which is the daughter of Babylon, right? Because it has taken on the customs of Babylon, which took on the customs of Egypt, Greece, Rome, right? But Babylon, Christmas, the Babylonian calendar, the things that it's taken on from Babylon. So that's why the Lord's referring to America as Babylon, right? Because ancient Babylon was in Iraq, modern day Iraq, and modern day Iraq still exists, right? So it says this city, that great city, shall be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. So you can go to present day Iraq and find it. And the voice of harpers and musicians and music and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the craftsmen, right? So whatever skill you do, you fix cars, you build houses, build buildings, the skyscrapers that Esau builds, because it reminds them of Mount Seir and the Caucasus Mountains, right? Your craft, or whatever craft he be, whatever skill set you have, shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of the millstone, which goes into work too, being able to work, and that's ultimately what's happening. Because though this is self-inflicted, which through the CIA has always self-inflicted things for war or for whatever their agenda would be, but this time it's not going to work for their benefit. Which this whole thing hasn't worked for their benefit. I mean, you spent 20 years in a war that you lost, so it doesn't make sense. I mean, not unless that's all fluff too. But regardless, when it comes to Yahweh, he keep his word. So he said that it's going to be no more found in thee. It shall be found in thee, and the sound of the millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, right? So there ain't going to be, once these ICBM missiles hit, once you you do your control opposition with the inflation of the gas and the food and the things to get people to convert into getting the digital all, which is the Charagma, which is the RFID chip, right? Of some sort, because they already said that the Pentagon has a chip that can detect, the CV-19, right? So that's, that's coming. Yeah, so this is Ecclesiastes 12:3. And in the day when the keeper of the house shall tremble, and the keeper of the house is Esau, Edom at this point in time, right? Because Daniel had gave the interpretation of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and Nebuchadnezzar was the head, and then you had the Medo Persian Empire after that. Then you had the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, and then you have America, which is the second leg of Rome, right? Because the Rome, the reason why we say the second leg is because Rome is that fourth part, and then it was that first initial leg, right? Because when you deal with that, it was built as a man, and a man has two legs. So that first part was the Roman Empire, right? And then it said the deadly wound that was healed, right? When you go into Revelations, one who had the deadly wound that was healed, because this beast system is different than all the other beast systems, which is going to have the RFID chip. So the keeper of the house, and then you got to read in the New Testament when it speaks about the unjust ruler, which explains him being the keeper of the house, and they're going to tremble, they're going to be afraid. The strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, right? Because all the work, right, in which they're doing that now, if you don't take the magic juice, you lose your job. So some jobs are ceasing just because of that, right? But other jobs are ceasing because what? They're trying to get rid of the middle class, right? And just have the wealthy and the poor, right? Because in order to get you to get the digital all, which is the charagma, the chip, they have to dire straits is a way to change people. When you can't eat or drink, and your mind is going crazy. I mean, people are going crazy now. They're willing to do anything to so-called go back to normal, but that has not happened, and it's not going to happen. They are few, and these that look out the window, right? Because right now there are jobs, but the jobs are few. But the jobs that's there, some people are still looking out the window, looking out the windows be darkened. These that look out of the windows be darkened, right? Because eventually that the little bit of jobs that there are, even that's not going to look too promising. Why? Because they're bringing in AI, right? Artificial intelligence to do a lot of these jobs, right? So you're not going to have those jobs, right? And the doors shall be shut in the streets, right? And you had a lockdown before. You're going to have a lockdown again, right? And basically it's going to be that no work for you. When the sound of the grinding is low, which is where we're at right now, the grinding is low, the work is not plenty. As they say, all the places are hiring. Yeah, they're hiring, but you got to get what? You got to get the juice. You got to get the magic juice in order. But that's a way of crunching you down to saying, look, you do what we say and how we say. You don't have to do it. You don't have to listen to what we say. You don't have to do it, but you can't feed your family. You can't go to work. You can't do this and that for, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, right? And hey, I had to leave my job, and I do that every morning now. I'm rising up and hear the birds chirping, and I don't even got no place to go. I don't have a job to go to. The daughters of music shall be brought low, right? And all the happiness and joy of America is brought low, and and the elders always like to say how the music is not music anymore, but in a sense that's true, but the main thing is this is talking about this economy, which they're obviously, it's self-induced, right? But they're never going to come back. They're never, this thing is never going to come back. The elites is really going to shoot themselves in the foot too. I mean, they're going into that digital all, so you could buy and sell. But that's, the Lord has to punish you though. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. See, that's what I was talking about. This modern day Babylon, spiritual Babylon, which is America, and it's the daughter of Babylon because it took on all the customs, following behind like a mother, because they speak of these countries as mother. You got the motherland, which they call Africa, the motherland. Russia call Mother Russia. You call America Lady Liberty, right? Even some people will definitely say that their motherland would be England or Ireland or whatever, right? So it goes into that whole thing of it being a female or a woman. So this the daughter of Babylon, which is America, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of Chaldeans, right? Which is the Babylonians, which goes into them being into witchcraft, soothsayers. The Chaldeans were also soothsayers, witchcraft, getting into enchantments. And that's what they do with this media. The media is enchantments. The media in itself means witchcraft. That's why they call it media, right? For thus shall no more be called tender and delicate. See, you're going to be no more in existence. Take the millstone, grind the mill. So you're going to have to start storing. They're telling you about storing up, but this is what the Lord is basically saying. Take whatever food you got, and you're going to have to store it up and stretch it out as far as you can stretch it. But what's going to happen? Uncover the locks, right? Make bare the thigh, make bare the leg, right? Uncover the thigh. You're going to start being revealed. People are going to actually start seeing, oh, wait a minute. This so-called temporary inflation, or this temporary thing that they calling temporary, is not going to be so temporary, right? It says, cover the thigh, pass over the rivers, right? Because the Lord is going to draw you into war. You're going to, the troops are going to go into the Middle East. There are going to be more troops that head over to the Middle East. So you could be in the valley of Yehoshaphat, the valley of judgment, right? Thy nakedness shall be seen, which the Lord is exposing these devils for being the devil, right? Democrat goes into what demonic rule, right? Demi, was demon, and crack goes into rulership. So you have the the demonic ruling over America, right? But the Lord has to reveal that to you. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. Right? You murdered and killed the saints, the Israelites. Right? I will take vengeance. Right? The Lord's going to take vengeance upon you for killing the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. And I will not meet thee as a man. And that's what the Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is coming to do. As for our Redeemer, which is Yahweh Shai, which is that great millstone who's coming, right? Which ICBM missiles, laser beams from the chariots, what they call unidentified flying phenomenons, or unidentified flying, unidentified aerial phenomenon, or whatever, whatever it is, UFOs, right? So yeah, as for our Redeemer, Yahweh, right, of hosts, which means armies, is his name, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. The Holy One of Israel, which is Yahweh Shai, is the Holy One of Israel. Set thus silent, right? You're going to be no more. And get thee in darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thus shall no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. See? Right? We're just talking about what? America, right? Because, man, let's go right here. It says, I was wroth with my people, right? Which is you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. I have polluted my inheritance. Inheritance is what? Something that's valuable. But the Lord said he polluted his jewels, his valuable, right? Another name for the Israelites is jewelry, right? So the Lord polluted the things that was valuable to his inheritance, and have given them into your hand, and thus did show them no mercy upon the ancient, and has thus very heavily laid thy yoke, right? Because they what? They enslave the indigenous so-called Native American, what they call Native American, which is Gad, the so-called Mexican, which is Issachar, so-called Puerto Ricans, which is Ephraim, right? The so-called Guatemalans to Chile, which is Neptali, right? And all these Israelites, right, and have gathered up, Judah, Benjamin, Levi from the west coast of Africa and from Europe, put them in slavery. You have heavily laid yoke, but the Lord is going to have to require that in this time. It says, and thus saith, I shall be a lady, right? Because like I was telling you about how when you talk about kingdoms or whatever, they refer, or nations, you refer as a lady. There should be a lady forever, thinking America was going to be a kingdom forever, so that thus did it not lay these things to thy heart, neither did thus remember the latter end of it, right? Therefore, Hear now this, thus that are given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood, right? The Lord's going to destroy you. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, right? Dealing with their, like I said, their media, which is sorcery, and for the great abundance of thy enchantment. See, and it's dealing with America, because that's all they do is they send prayers to Satan and they enchant you. You know, like the brother had showed a video with all these commercials that kept saying Pfizer, 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 like, you know, repeating it over and over and over in your head to, you know, and you even learn that about that in school. You know, they remember I don't know if you remember they even show you that in the cartoons where you see the black and white spiral thing, and the black and white spiral thing, and it's a circle and it just keeps spiraling, and it's there to basically like hypnotize you. And that's kind of like what they say that's in these commercials, and they keep repeating it over and over and over and over and over about all this thing, you know, because first they were talking about what is it called, herd immunity and all this other stuff, which we should be there already, past that point, realistically. But these are the things they want to give you. Repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over. But yeah. Call Layum Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rakal Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but your bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To the sister Akwaf, listen in silence, Shalom. Death to America.